the end of the year was hectic, so hectic that you obliged almost yourself that you push your phone on silent for 2 weeks, you said?
Yeah, 2 weeks.
That's quite a long time.
It was a record. I disconnected from work for 2 weeks. Since having my own business, taking breaks like that, you do holidays, but you somehow always have in mind that if a client, of course, reaches out or if something happens, you're there. And in the beginning, you almost have to also when you're building up a company. So it's been very difficult to find those times to really disconnect. And now I said in December, no, I really need it because I've gotten to learn my body and what I need. And I felt now when the phone battery was ended, I felt, okay, this is my time to not charge the phone and just disconnect.
This is a sign from somewhere
It's a
else
sign.
that maybe I need to slow down. Normally people feel it in the body, but for you, just the telephone died.
Yes. I mean, I do feel it in my body also. So that's why I've gotten to know myself over the years. I've been trying to more consciously listen to my body. I knew that I needed a break also. It was just like the sign of, okay, your phone is off. Don't charge it and take the break that you know you need.
And what are the signs your body is giving you that maybe it's time for this break?
I have sensitive skin, so I actually get rashes, and I know in certain areas when it's stress related, and the arms especially. So I actually get a physical reaction to stress, which is good on one side, and I didn't know it until a bit later in life when I just went to a dermatologist and they told me that yes, many of these it can be stress related. I've learned to recognize when it's stress related and not. I really listen to that. And of course, you have the typical like headaches when I have headaches too often. Then I also know, okay, this is something that I need to listen. I know now I need to really stop.
Now it's really all the red signs and red flags, but I don't think many people know that you could also have this kind of issues when you are under pressure for a longer period.
Yeah, I didn't know that was possible either. The dermatologist said, look, you probably have some things that you should think about, but this also can be stress related.
You took these 2 weeks off and you say, I felt really different. Exactly why and how, or not why, but how did you feel it different?
It's more that when you're constantly running, which I feel I've almost always been since I started my career, I've been very career driven, very ambitious. I've been working really a lot, probably too much some years. Now, of course, building up a company, you have a different type of stress. It's like you feel your head gets clearer when you take these breaks. I can refocus, I can really think things through with a kind of different perspective. Then when you're constantly in that wheel running, you almost don't even have the clarity of your thoughts, right? I definitely felt like almost a relief of thoughts in my body somehow, and felt lighter and felt more clear. Definitely to start the year with a much clearer mind.
It's interesting that you know that that is the benefit, and still it costs you so much effort to do it, no? To integrate it, to implement it, to stop because for what, basically?
I realized I'm gonna become much more aware again of my body, and I think what actually work does to stress and to your body, because I normalized being in that state of constantly running around work-wise. When I became more conscious, I know the benefit. I know I do better work if I have that clear mind. I make better decisions when I'm clear in my head and calm and relaxed and not running around. I definitely know the benefits, but you're right, it's difficult to just really stop.
If you know it's good for you, and you know that you feel afterwards more clarity, you feel lighter, the feeling like, oh, I can breathe again, and I see things clearer. So in the end, you make better decisions, you make them quicker, less mistakes. That's also all proven.
Mm.
Then still, it's so hard to take that time. Why do we ignore that? Why you also know that the benefit is there?
You have to know yourself and you have to know what works for you. What works for one person doesn't work for everyone. You have to find your own ways, and that's more the key, to find
Yes.
things that work for you and not try to do what others are doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely agree. Consistency is important, but you can only be consistent when you do something which fills you with joy, or it makes you happy, or it makes you proud, or whatever, that you feel like, okay, I can keep this up. And that's exactly
Yeah.
also what I see in my work. I can advise people a lot about things, but it needs to stick somewhere.
Yeah, and I think it can be a bit cyclical. So I've started to do yoga, nidra, which is very relaxing for me. That has been since last year really great. And I went also because I need some time to relax and disconnect and meditate and center myself. I've been very consistent and I really felt that helped. So this was my thing that I found, okay, that actually works for me. And I like that kind of meditation and also like this introspection side of to really center yourself and ground yourself, which is what I felt I needed.
And you will continue doing that?
Yeah. I'm doing it still. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I always fall asleep. I don't, but
Yeah,
with
I
the
did it
yoga,
sometimes in the
neither.
beginning. I think now I did it a lot in the beginning, but then now I get to that state that is really good.
In your work, because you work in now you work in recruitment, you work in Switzerland, and you support people. What I like very much about the profile of your company is that's all about human centered, and you support people finding jobs. I read in one of your posts about people who continue to navigate the job market nowadays that is really resilient, because there's so much stress and there is so much difficulty because things are not easy. Are there any tools, or how do you navigate all this, yeah, stress in an overheated market?
So I've obviously see people that are in the market. I know that when it's a tough job market like it is today, this creates stress on people. At some point, you run out of your unemployment benefits. You might be the provider of the family. The income impacts, of course, the family situation. Job searching is such an impactful state to be in. I really feel that, and I see people that you even see like their confidence level slowly going down the longer they search for a job. I'm a firm believer that information is helpful, so that's why I'm share like, look, the market is difficult. The market looks like this, and give kind of these market updates, because I know that then you might feel that, okay, it's not just me. And I encourage people, and I know it's easier said than done because it's a situation that many times you don't expect to be let go of a company, for example. But to really take the time to also slow down, to reconnect with themselves, to find out, what do I really want next? Because most people, I'm one of them, we're running around and we jump from one role to the next, and one challenge to the other, and one promotion after the other. And we change jobs without any break between companies almost. I was forced to take a break at some point because I was sick for a year and my body told me to stop. And that was the eye opening time for me, because my doctor said, if you didn't come for this, you would have probably been here for a burnout at some point, based on what I was sharing about what I was doing in my work. I realized the impact of work and of also how important it is to really take a step back and slow down. So I encourage people, when they are in that stressful, when they have digested the fact that they are going to be looking for a job, to don't underestimate how powerful it is to also take some time to just think and kind of reconnect and refine, what do you really want as a next step? Are you going in the right direction? What things could you change? What things do you not need anymore in your professional life? And only when you stop and take that moment is when you really get the clarity. Some people get it very early. Some people run around and realize it very late. So I'm always saying, in this situation, when you're in the market, it's tough. It's challenging to look for a job. I have all the empathy for the people that are looking for a job, because I know how difficult it is and how much it takes for on your own, your personality, your confidence, and getting so many no's, all of that. Don't forget to take some time to relax and to refocus and to think it through and not rush. We are more and more a society that we're rushing all the time to everything. I mean, our attention span is just becoming less and less. Sometimes life forces you, and as difficult as it is when you lose the job, sometimes you realize later that it's what you needed also, to pause and reprioritize. That's all I can say. I understand that people need jobs and you need to pay your bills and you need to get that income, and that's a stress. for sure.
It sounds also very difficult because when you, like you said, when you have digested the news that this is the situation, and you also know that your financial resources are covered for a period, then there is immediately a stress from, okay, but then what's after? You know, some people
Absolutely.
are always busy with the future. So this after becomes a whole drama. Other can be more present and think, okay, where am I now? Is it really that bad at the moment? You need to be able to do that.
And also to ask for help. We also, we many times don't do that, and we navigate things alone. And you have normally much more support than you think around you. I'm lucky to be in a position where I can help. I cannot help everyone, unfortunately, but I can help many people. And even sometimes an advice is what you need, an advice on the CV, an advice on how should you look for your next opportunity. And I know that that's very valuable. Being on the, I've also been a candidate in my career, so I know how valuable it can be to just be directed somehow, to be supported on which direction to go. And that's why I love my job, but it's also at the same time, you sometimes, I wish I could do more, right? So you also get a little bit that feeling of, I wish I could help these people that are in that situation, and you cannot help everyone. For me, it's about trying to do what I can, and hopefully giving them either the information about what is going on in the market so that they know it's not just them. Actually, the market is tough, and it's taking really long for people to find a job in Switzerland at the moment. And that sometimes gives you some kind of comfort as well to know, okay, it's not my profile or my background. It's just that the market is very, very difficult.
Yeah, you see, the longer it takes, the confidence go down. Are there things which you suggest people to do to restore their resilience or their confidence or their positivity?
So I'm always saying, look, go back to your achievements, talk to people that work with you, read through some references if you have some that are positive. You like remind yourself of you were really good at your job in different instances. That reminder of that you're good is important rather than focusing on maybe, no, I'm getting all these no's. It's important to be aware that job searching will at some point have an impact on self-confidence and how you feel overall and the stress level when you are the provider, when you see your funds that you saved slowly every month go down, and you know you have maybe 4 months left. That is a stress that is extremely difficult to manage. You should, going back to seeking help, there are professional people that can also support those situations. Yeah.
And do you see, because this is the perspective of the one who is looking for the job, how is the perspective from the people for the companies?
You mean that they have many options of candidates and they have a lot of volume of, honestly, especially bigger companies where they have really hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of applications and people are reaching out and calling. That also creates a different type of stress on the recruiter side. And if the company has a recruiter that is the one pre-selecting and doing the screening of the CVs, you can humanly not even manage the volume. In some cases, you have big teams many times in companies with a lot of volume where you need to review every application. And I know a lot of people see recruiters and the job application process as, you know, a black box, and there's a lot to be improved. I'm the first one to say that. Many people in recruitment that do care and they wish they could reply to everyone and reject every person and give people advice to apply better and so on, but you just don't have the capacity and the time. There is a need from the company side to work on improving those processes, to have the resources. We're not helping the job seekers on the other side, right? With processes like we have today, where there is a black box and people don't know why they're being rejected, or is it automatic? Is it not? Is it a person seeing my CV? Do I have to do it this way or that way? We have tools, we have capacity of people with skills that can do that. Companies should invest. It's not a priority. I think you focus on the candidates that you want to hire potentially, that you think are good matches for you, and the ones that are not a match, it's almost like bad luck. Companies, we could, from a company perspective, could definitely do more to improve the experience of the job seekers. It becomes very transactional many times. It's kind of CVs, and that's why we said in our company, the human at the core, because we cannot
Yeah, I
forget
saw
that
it.
behind the CV, it's a person. It's not just a piece of paper. It's not just a checkbox of things that the person. It's a human being that is behind that paper. They are looking for a job. If they're active in the market, they are going through stress. It's not fun. I mean, let's be honest. To look for a job, I've never maybe someone will say, yes, it's really fun, but I have never met someone that thinks it's fun to look for a job. And when it impacts you, going back to the confidence, you're also doing interviews. So you want to position yourself in a certain way. You want to be confident. So when you start, of course, over time that you're looking for a job, being less confident, that will translate also in you not doing as good in the interviews. It's a cycle.
Absolutely. You can make job searching fun, no? You say, who doesn't like the idea of looking for a job and knocking on doors? And okay, I get that. If you're looking for what you think is a desirable position you would like to achieve, it could also be seen as fun. Then you take a bit of stress away from the whole job searching, at least
Yeah.
from the candidate perspective.
Definitely. That's a good, actually, that's a good way to see the fun part of it, to remove the stress part of it, because in the end, you have the pressure, right? That creates stress then when you need to find a job and you're really actively looking. So to focus it in a more positive way, it could take away some of that pressure and release some of the stress as well. It's always a cycle.
Yeah, stress is something, it's a friction which is created by something which doesn't match reality and your reaction on it. But if you look at itself that you have when, for example, you've been laid off, I've been laid off, and it gives you also the possibility to, indeed, like you say, to look at where am I standing? What do I want to do? What is my road to go? And that could create, evidently, also a lot of joy and happiness, because you're able to step out of there where you were, and it's an opportunity to go after what feels better for you in that stage of life.
Absolutely. I also see the people that are positive despite the challenge, despite how difficult it is, despite the stress they have, despite the pressure. They still keep that kind of positive spirit and see it in a good way. They also do better in interviews than the ones that they let the frustration get to them. It's almost like everyone is out there to not make you get a job. It translates in then how you answer your questions in the interview, how you position yourself in the interview. It does have an impact, and you see some people that really are almost getting together to complain about how bad recruitment is, about the market is, and others that are really focusing more on how do I get out of this? What can I do with my time now? And focus on skills, on taking time for themselves that they didn't do before. You see the difference in people, how they handle it also. And it does affect how they are then in interviews and how they're connecting with people. Ultimately, that's what getting a job is about. It's connecting with the other side, convincing them that you can do something for the company, and that you bring what they need, but also connecting. That's where the difference is many times. It's not about the skills fully always.
No, because many people can eventually do the job, no? And you say how you answer question. I will even bring it further down, is how you enter the space. Eh? Are you really present? How are you seated? Are you grounded? I work with breathing. Can you stay calm instead of that you get more nervous?
Mm.
All these things, it's a perception, because you cannot really get the grip on it. But it's all the combination of these things which fits together. Like in the end, it's resilience.
Absolutely. You need it. I mean, you need to be resilient in situations that are difficult. That's any challenge, the resilience that gets you through it.
You have very centralized in your company that the human is the core. I thought, isn't that always the situation? I also read that 96% of the people you place are staying longer than 12 months. So then it makes me think how people are staying so shortly nowadays in companies. No, I've worked for 22 years in one company. That's longer than 12 months. What is the trend nowadays? Why is it human so important for you in the work you do?
In the end, it's not about matching a paper to a job description. It's really connecting people. As I know also that recruitment as a whole, we have a lot of work to do to make it better, to be more mindful of the other side. So for us, we reject everyone that applies, even if they're not considered for the role, explaining why. If we need a German speaker and someone has a great CV and they could do the job, but they don't speak German, and it's a must have from a client, We don't just say we have better candidates. We really say, look, we need a German speaker for this and this reason. We saw on your CV that you don't speak German, so we cannot consider you further. If we misunderstood, let us know. And honestly, just doing that, but that should be like common sense. We get so much response from candidates because it's not done. We are one of very, very few giving people at that early stage a feedback. So that was something that we were very early on thinking. We want to make sure that people understand why they're getting that no. That already makes a difference, right? I believe that the work we do is that it's about getting to know a person. I always say, I read your CV. I'm not interested to go through it. I just want to make sure to understand who are you, what have you done, what are you looking for, what is important for you. And then when we do the matching, is also not just you can do the job. Does it make sense based on our discussion? Does it fit you really? You said you wanted to go into, I don't know, an environment that is stable and where you can project yourself for 5 years. This company is chaotic. They have a mess. It's a turnaround. You will not get that. So while the role is appealing and many things match, I don't think it makes sense for you. And we kind of agree then to not go forward. But that goes beyond then. If I would just match the CV with the job description, they match each other. That's a lot of the work that we do, and why we say the human really should be at the forefront, because this is really what we believe makes it successful. You were saying the thing about 1 year. It's very interesting because I'm the same. I worked 10 years in one company, 5 years in another one. I do see that it's not the reality so much anymore. The previous 10 will now be 5 years, probably will be, wow, you worked 5 years in one company. And I think the average is going to be between 1 and 3 years.
Okay, so it goes dramatically down. And what is the reason for that?
The workforce is changed in priorities. People don't accept what was accepted years ago in terms of the way you work. People are much more conscious of work. How do you manage work and life, and what do you spend your time on, and how? Companies are also changing much more than years ago. There's transformation and change happening in every company. It doesn't matter if it's family owned or if it's a corporation or a startup. Everyone is going through change. So people are just more naturally moving from one change to the next as the companies are also changing. I think that by nature, the tenure of a role is going to be much shorter. So what companies also need might be different, much faster than before. The skill level, the life of a skill has been reduced as well. What you could before use 5 years, the skills today are 2.5 years you can use them. And if it's in tech, even less.
It sounds to me only that the stress and resilience then that goes hand in hand together, it will only increase because you have more change coming quicker. That's what we evidently know, and that's what is happening at the moment everywhere. It also require a different skill set, different functions,
Absolutely.
different structure. So this continuous moving, companies also start to do that more and more.
Absolutely. We speak a lot more about resilience and change ability, flexibility in profiles when companies are recruiting, because you need certainly people that are not going to be afraid of a change in 6 months, because most likely there will be a change in 6 months. If you're someone that are not comfortable with that, and you can, of course, still find some companies that offer more stability than others, the way things are going, we will see much less of these stable roles. We will need to move at the pace of how the world is moving, and that means how business is moving. Companies need to adapt. If you don't, you fall behind. You cannot keep doing things the same way over and over. You need to change because you would lose otherwise in the market.
What you write about 96% is staying longer than 1 year. You can also look it from the person who's looking for a job. Like, at least I can stay there for a year.
No, and to be honest, majority are I mean, people that have placed that have been 5 years, 8 years in one company. They progress, they move. That's the nice thing to see. I also see that people are, and I would say even more, the young generations coming to the job market, they are much more, which I admire also, I have to say, that they don't take crap, if we can say it like that. They're very sure about what they want and not want. And if it's not what they want, they move on. And whereas I was like, okay, I don't like this, but you pull through and you know, you just stay, right? You don't leave. Good and bad. Some people also do it too quick. Back to the resilience, the first setback, you shouldn't quit. You shouldn't stop. You should show that you can go through also the setbacks. It's a balance. I admire that they know very clearly what they really want, what they expect from a company, what they expect from a leader, and they don't settle for less. I definitely settled for for not the ideal leadership in the past. It's something that I admire that they are much more clear on that.
Are they then also more resilient, or you cannot make that translation?
I don't know if they're more resilient, because for me, resilience is that you go through setbacks. And when you then say, okay, it's not what I want or not how I thought it will be, so I'm just going to quit. I mean, I don't think that's very resilient. You need to at least give it a try. If you tell me, look, I tried it and I stayed and I went through one change and then the next came, then I think it's fine, move on. I wouldn't say that they're more resilient because of that, but they're just more pragmatic in their approach. It's work. I had friends from work. I love to work. I went to the
Yeah.
office and I had friends, and and they have a much more clear separation of that, which can be good.
You mentioned something about that companies looking ahead for people who are able to manage change. Do you see there the word resilient coming back more and more?
Yes, yes,
In which
definitely.
sense? In which situation do you see that mentioned?
In exactly that. So when most companies are going through change, and it could be any type of change, small to big, you want people that will pull through in that challenge. We're going to have tough 5 months because we are, I don't know, implementing a system or doing a big change in the organization, and you want people to go through the change with you and to stay also after the change is done. That requires resilience because it is hard work. It is tough times, tough discussions, tough decisions. It's resilience really from that perspective of not giving up. That's the translation that I see from companies, people that are not giving up when things get hard, because things are hard in the market and in companies, and businesses are struggling. More that I would say, that people don't give up when things are tough. That type of resilience.
And when you say hard, what specifically do you mean by that?
That change has an impact always on the organization, on how you do work, how the team is structured. You do things one way now, and with this thing, you're going to do it differently, and you're going to have another system, and you're going to have another colleague or be part of another part of the company. That can be challenging. I mean, not everyone likes change, and not everyone is comfortable with change. This is difficult.
Do you think the company pay sufficient attention to that in regard of the people they have on board, or they will hire, the capabilities of change? Are they
Not
investing
enough.
in that?
Not
Not enough.
enough. Not enough. Everyone is clear that we need more resilient people that can go navigate change and that can be supportive of others during the change. It's a team effort. And everyone knows that people are the key. Any change happens with people. If we don't have the people, it doesn't happen. But I don't think companies are investing in it enough. You have companies that are saying that they're investing in well-being and health. Do you see the benefit of it? The stress levels are to the roof, and companies have been investing since COVID in well-being. It kind of became the thing to do. But then we see that, are the
Yes.
numbers really changing? What are we really investing in? Are we making things that actually help people, or are we doing a nice program that no one benefits from in the end? I
Yeah,
have the feeling
I
it's the
see it
second.
also. Me too. Yeah, me too. I see it nicely mentioned on the scorecards company have, on the KPI metrics, and then it can be ticked off, or everybody has free fruits and veggies on Monday and Friday. It's not driving the change mentally, physically, taking
Mm,
care of mental and physical health. In periods of this big impact, like job loss and looking for a
yes,
job, it is the fundament. Without that, the rest, not stable sand. You're gonna build something on a not good fundament. So that's why I feel very much that there should be more done for that. That's also in the individual
100%.
responsibility, evidently.
100%. I was going to say that in the end, yes, it's the same with developing skills. You can have great programs in a company, but then it's up to you also to take advantage of that. Don't wait for your company to upskill and to learn new things. And it's the same with health. Don't wait for your company to have a health program, a wellness program. That's on you. And this is the challenge for HR, which I also understand that you do a lot of good things. But in the end, it's very difficult to have something that fits the masses. It's going to fit a percentage of the workforce. That comes your individual responsibility as well to do what you need to do for yourself.
Absolutely, totally agree. I've been laid off myself for the first time ever, and definitely not easy. Interestingly, for me, laying that fundament, laying this base is really strong. Looking really for tools which that help me a lot to see what I am able to do, but also to keep my mind clear and to feel myself every day stronger, more in connection with my body. Then clarity evidently will also come, like what is important for you, what is less important, which direction do I want to go. I take also ownership of the situation because I cannot control everything outside of me. I can control the workout. I can control no telephone after a certain time of not when waking up. I can control that I go every morning outside. There's a lot of things you still have under control. And when you feel that you can do all those things, which doesn't even cost money, it only requires time, it gives you energy back. It's super valuable and also powerful to see because in moments when the confidence is only getting less and less and less because you feel miserable and you get only no's, if you get a no, and normally there was a lot of silence, there was a
That's
lot of
true.
silence. It's even worse than a no.
Yeah.
Am I in or am I out? I don't know. Then taking this ownership and working on your mindset and on your physics, that is super strong.
How did you get there? I can imagine that when it happens, when you do get laid off, did you already have the tools and you knew what to do, or how did you come to that path?
Thank you for the question. I'm a sporty person. Running was always my to go, to get clarity in my head, to escape, to be outside. I always was running before going to the office, and it felt so nice. In the laid off period, then this became more like a drill, a discipline, a thing I wanted to do more. This is what I can do. I don't need to run away because I am now in this situation. So it's about how do I manage to get through this situation in a healthy way. Then I started to add other elements like breathing. It started with yoga. I became a yoga teacher in Basel. From there, the journey with breathing, with colds, with even being more in nature and feeling how it resonates in me, through me, with me, and what it does. That was extremely powerful. I was building on something which was already there. Yes, evidently, and then it's easier, but it's not impossible or totally not durable for other people.
Yeah.
You need to find something which sticks. Health is something you carry with you, and it gives you really energy.
And without it, that's when I got sick, that was kind of the point where I was like forced by nature to stop and slow down. Then I realized the connection with nature, so going to the forest and doing walks. Later I did a part of the Camino de Santiago. That was another whole other experience. Walking has become the way that I can really disconnect and connect to ground myself. That has been something that I have found, that besides the yoga, to connect, and nature keeps coming back in different forms. The energy of nature is very powerful.
What do they mean by that? No, connection with yourself, connection with nature. Just go out for a walk early morning or at the end of the day, and you feel different when you come home. It can be 5 minutes, can be 10 minutes, can be 3 hours. It doesn't matter. Just go out. Once you start to feel the difference, you want to do more of that.
Definitely, even when you go out and you have all the bird sounds, and then it's like, oh, spring is coming, and it's something that sounds like, oh, birds singing. It gives me joy. It gives me a good feeling, and I feel happy about it. And then I know the sun is coming and warm is coming, and I like that. It's small things, even to like be able to hear that and to feel good about it. It gives a lot, and then you do feel then that day is a good day.
Yeah, and it is very simple.
Absolutely, and like you said, it costs
It's,
nothing on top.
it's also interesting that we first, in your situation, you need to get sick. You ignore some signals, some red flags. Now you know when things get from orange to red zone, or maybe
Yes.
from green to orange. You take your measure, you take what is needed to get back on track.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We normalize a lot many times this speed that we're in. And we are in that hamster wheel. You just continue it, kind of, you cannot stop at some point. I mean, for me, being sick was that moment when I also realized, when my doctor told me black and white after a couple of weeks of tests and things, at some point she was like, honestly, if you would have not come for this, you would have come most likely for a burnout at some point. Based on what I was explaining to, I cannot be on sick leave, I need to go back to work. She was like, no. And I tried to go back to work, and it was interesting because I was being monitored for blood pressure. I had to measure my blood pressure 3 times per week. And she agreed to go back to work for 1 week. Okay, let's go back, let's try, because I really wanted to. I said, I need to work. I need to be busy.
I need to work. I need to work. Yeah.
I need to work. She was like, look, fine, I'll give you, go back 1 week and we see how it works. I was still measuring my blood pressure. And seeing it black and white, how my blood pressure was impacted by certain meetings, by certain discussions, by some days in the week at work, how black and white that was impacting my blood pressure. It was like, wow, I could see it physically then, with proof, not what people were telling me. It was proof that, yes, work is stressing me out in some certain situations and certain things. That was energy. After that week, she said, you can absolutely not be at work because this is not good. I was put back on sick leave, and I was on sick leave for a year ultimately. Looking back, as hard as that year was, looking back, it was a blessing in disguise that I got sick. I see it that way now, that I needed that to happen to realize how important health is, first of all. Without that, it doesn't matter what you earn, doesn't matter what you have, nothing matters. You really go back to what is important for you in life. I mean, it was a lot of thinking back, like, oh, I missed so many dinners. I prioritize work on holidays, and I should have spent more time with my family and my partner and, friends. And sometimes you need to get hit to realize that and switch your priorities. For me, that was the moment when I really said, no, I need to change things. As much as I love my work and I love my job, I need to change. I cannot continue doing what I'm doing, not for myself and not for the people around me that I care about. It was a wake-up call in many ways.
And then you started your own company.
And then I started my own company, and went back to my hamster wheel. No. I have
Yeah, because you're driven and motivated and
yes.
ambitious, and you want to make it happen, of course.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm not in the hamster wheel. I'm in a wheel every now and then, but I don't let it run fast. I get out of the wheel when I need to. I do much more things to notice when, if I have a very long day, I make sure that I start my next day later, that I take a shorter week. If I have a really intense week, I know my energy levels very well. I know when I had a lot of events and things, I'm drained. I also let myself have a longer weekend or a very calm weekend to regain my energy. I go then to the yoga on Sunday, and I go for a walk on the Saturday. I've really learned to, if my phone gets shut off, I don't charge it for a week, because I knew I needed that. I'm much better in listening and prioritizing. Last year my dad got sick, and I luckily could be flexible, and I prioritize. My family needs me. I'm going to go to Sweden, and I travel back and forth a lot. My focus was my dad and my family. I did work and I did what I needed to do, but my priorities were very clear. Whereas I know years ago, I'm not sure I would have had the same prioritization. I had such clarity on what matters and what comes first, that it was not so difficult to make that prioritization.
Important boundary setting, having your priorities clear, and then following really through with them is super important. Sometimes we're going back into hamster wheel. Sometimes having a little bit of a up is not a problem, as long as you can go back to the recovery phase. That's where we go completely off track, and then we keep on running. And many people like you in the past, and also you were not even realizing you were running in that hamster
No.
wheel.
I've had friends tell me, Evelyn, you're spiraling now. My best friend, she told me, sometimes you're spiraling. You need to slow down. You're all over the place. I knew she was right. I would hope that you don't need to get to that point of getting sick to realize it. Unfortunately, many do. Or to be let go, to have the time to think, all of that. When the opportunity presents itself, whether good or bad, I see it as a blessing at the end of the day. Even though it was one of the toughest years probably that I ever had, it was, for me, in hindsight, needed to happen to not continue to make those mistakes. I'm happy it happened not too late either in life. I take it as an opportunity. I don't think always stress is negative. I mean, it has a very negative connotation, but
Yes.
I sometimes enjoy, and I don't want to sound like I'm a crazy person that likes to be stressed all the time, but I think a certain level, at least at work, a certain level of stress and pressure, and I'm also a bit competitive, so it's almost like compete with myself. And I can actually do very good work when I'm in a under stress. It's exactly that, like knowing also when you can use the stress to be in a positive way, in a competitive way, and when it's not good for you. That's not always so easy to make the distinction. That's when it becomes dangerous. I don't think it's always negative.
Totally not. Totally not. When you're
Yeah.
working in a stressful situation, then the adrenaline is up and the cortisol is up. You have more focus. You're full of dopamine also to get you going, energy for days. As long as you look for that recovery, because if
Yes.
you continue doing it, then you get the issues of rushes, then you get the issues of getting sick. If you realize that and balance that out, then it's totally not a problem. You build nicely on your resilience if you do it in a healthy way. That's why I work also with colds, not with people who are completely in the burnout,
Mm,
with cold exposure for people, because that's super stressful and that creates a lot of adrenaline and cortisol. Once you manage to step in and go in, you need to find your calm in a very stressful
mm,
situation, like a lot of situations in life nowadays which are
mm,
stressful. So if you manage to stay calm in that not joyful
mm,
first 30 seconds, after 30 seconds, people start to smile, start to relax, feel comfortable. But it's how, because your first reaction is your automatic stress reaction, and that's
mm,
different for a lot of people.
mm,
If you overcome that to not to react in the way you automatically would have done, but you
mm,
learn to take a grip on yourself and then you step out. Yeah, that's for me also working on
mm,
resilience. How do you
definitely.
remain calm? How can you keep your focus on yourself? Then for the next event, if you do this another time, not every day, because then you will not have
Mm,
the recovery. Then
mm.
you know what to expect, and you building up on your baseline.
When you do that, you need to do like pre-work. You need to prepare. That's what we miss as people, that we are not preparing ourselves. You will be put in a challenge. You will maybe lose your job. You will maybe be sick. I don't know. You will get to those life situations that you didn't expect. Life is like that, and you will be thrown into situations that you don't know how to handle. But we don't, and this even goes back to school, that we should do that more in school, that we don't have the tools, and we're not like I learned to handle anxiety and with breathing techniques when I was sick. I got a lot of anxiety, I had heart palpitations, the blood pressure. I learned, and I never knew that. And now I know, as soon as I feel like anxiety or I feel some type of way, I know what to do from a breathing point of view. And I keep thinking, why didn't I know that before? How come we don't have these tools before the thing
Tell
happened?
me.
If you say, I'm going to go into a cold bath, I'm going to prepare for that. I'm going to do my exercises. I'm going to learn how to breathe, how to get, so you're preparing yourself for that emerging into the cold. But we're not preparing ourselves for life cold baths.
All these activities, which looks like individual events, how you can use that in daily life, how to prepare yourself for it. That is what a lot of people are not doing, what companies are not doing. If you are preparing yourself for something which might happen, then of course you go through it and navigate through it in a way more easier way, a relaxed, more controlled, less stressful
Mm.
way through this thing, which is not nice. It's absolutely something to look into more.
Mm.
No, to how to prepare. You're not anxious anymore, or when it comes, you know now what to do.
I saw it now, the situation with my dad. I could see some signs of that anxiety coming back, but not often. Yeah, I learned and I tried different things. Some worked better than others. It was always linked to breathing to calm these heart palpitations in the end.
Yeah,
So no, so yes,
absolutely.
I have the tools now to manage it. I do have it less than during time that I was sick, but they come. They come every now and then, the anxiety. Having a business, some months were really a lot of anxiety. You go from having a salary every month to suddenly, oh, what did I do? If I don't work, I don't get a salary. What is this? And that's another type of stress and anxiety that comes with that. But luckily, I have tools that I can use to manage it. I wouldn't say I'm 100% always there, but I at least have things to pull from to help myself.
You created your own company in a situation in the market which is very tough. For you, it could be quite good with so many people, or is it also stressful for you to work as a recruiter in this period?
I mean, as an external, it's challenging because, of course, if companies are not hiring or if they're going looking more at costs, then paying an external recruiter that comes with a fee, you have less of that, or companies are more hesitant to go out to a recruiter. And if they're not hiring, we cannot do our job. So, of course, it's been challenging. We're lucky that I've been in the market long and I have very good relationships. We work with companies that were scaling and doing growth. We've been lucky to have some good, decent years now, despite the market situation. The thought is always, what if they don't recruit anymore? What if we don't get this mandate? Luckily we've been having work constantly coming in, and we don't do any commercial activity so far. Everything has been through referrals, through former connections, through relationships. But at some point we need to have a plan B. We need to do more commercial activity. What if none of our contacts or clients come with jobs? And that thought is always there. So for us, it's very challenging as well. I mean, I wouldn't say as challenging as the people looking for a job, because that's completely a different challenge. Every recruiter that is external recruiter helping companies to hire, they will all feel the same, that it's a very tough market.
I hope you keep the human factor. What I've learned in my period of looking for a job is that the responses from either recruiters or from companies were so limited that it's totally not clear if I was in or out the process, or why I have not been selected. Because if you know that, if it's only a language you don't speak, and this is really important for a company, then your confidence level doesn't need to drop down so much. And knowing that makes a huge difference for the one who's
Absolutely.
searching for the job.
Absolutely, and that's why we're working on our processes to be even better at that. We want to give that input. Is it you come from the wrong industry? Is it that you don't speak the language? Is it that now I have a role where I need someone available immediately? So if you're working and you have a notice period, I cannot consider you. And you have a great profile, but I just can't because they need someone that can start tomorrow. At least you know. And then you can be like, okay, it's not my profile. It's really that I have a notice period, or it's my German language skill, or whatever. And that we will keep and maintain and become better and better in giving those inputs. And it requires a lot of work. I said on LinkedIn, I'm looking for this controller. I've been bombarded on LinkedIn, on my inbox, on my phone, and I'm really trying to go through one by one. It takes time. People are not always so patient. We don't always understand when you're looking for a job. But I'm like, give me a few days to go through all these now 100 emails that I got in one day. I will take the time and I will work late if I have to reply and to give them an answer, the ones that send me that email, to let them know why not, if I cannot consider them. It's really something that we focus on. But it requires a lot of effort.
It's very important, I've noticed, and I see it also around me, to get feedback, to know that there is a human there and not a automatic answer, to know that there was a reason, why not. It gives more engagement, it gives more, I don't know exactly what the word is, but it makes the communication more human, like that people do care about you.
Definitely.
It is very important. Not knowing nothing, not hearing nothing. Sometimes even if people are already far in recruitment processes, let's say in the last 3, there's no feedback.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy, but it's happening. Okay, if you have 100 applications, I can sort of understand that it takes time. But when you have 3 people,
Yeah,
it
and I
must
have to
not be
say
so
sometimes,
difficult.
and I have to say sometimes recruiters, whether in-house or external, we understand that part. We're the ones in contact with the candidates, and we need the input from a line manager or a hiring manager, and we're not getting it. We become almost equally frustrated because we want to give that feedback, but we're not getting it. If we all have that awareness and we keep in mind that there is a person behind that, whether the interview was good or not, is still a person, and they deserve to know yes or no, and to give them that feedback.
Yeah, then you go back to stressful situations, because when there is stress, there is a lot of focus, but there is also less connection and people continue to rush. Everything on a personal level works also on the company level. The awareness, the presence, the connection. And if you have all that, then you have the focus back, and then you can do so much more.
Definitely. Definitely. And I think, yeah, so I went back to people really late, but I do go back, and I'm still going to take the time to reply to you, even if it's been 2 months. Apologize that it took 2 months to get back to you. I saw your message. It's not an area that I focus on, or let's have a quick half an hour intro call. If it makes sense, right? So I do that. But honestly, some of the messages make no sense. That they don't have any connection to what I do, and they're still spamming my inbox.
Yeah, I understand. More heated everywhere, and then you get people even more frustrated. It's even more important to find your calm and to build on your resilience in the end. The mountains or the sea? Because you live in the country with the most beautiful and highest mountains of
So I
Europe.
should say mountains. And I love mountains. They're beautiful, and it's great to hike also in this landscape. But I'm definitely a sea person. I was actually born in Chile, in Viña del Mar, which is a sea, really a beach city. The waves speak to me, and I think the sound of water and to look at water is very calming. So for me, the sea.
Is there something you would? Is there something you would like to add?
To anyone listening, to not forget to wait until you get sick like me, or you get into a situation where you let go, to prepare, to build on that resilience, to focus on yourself, to learn about it, find your way, because what works for one person doesn't work for the other one. Just to find what works for you, and find those moments to ground and to connect with yourself and the people around you. We become more and more disconnected as a society. I hope that and wish that we would somehow, with all the tech that is coming out, that we connect back to humans, and that we connect with ourselves, and that we don't forget to keep those human connections that we have with each other, because they gives me energy, positive feelings. It's not the tech, it's not the systems, it's not all the cool things that I can do with AI, which are very cool. I hope that we don't forget to remain connected, especially now when we have a very high speed technological reality.
Absolutely. I hope that too. That's why I do the work I'm doing. What you say about, I hope that you don't wait until you let things go, that you get sick. With everybody I spoke to so far, first there needs to happen something, and then the change come. I have not figured out yet if it also just can happen more naturally, that you are more already realizing the impact of stress and tension and pressure on your body, on your health, and how it's have an impact on your whole life. The people I spoke to, first there was this thing, in your case sickness, which makes you change and become more aware and started to do other things. I have not spoken to anybody.
So whoever is out there that has the secret to how to prepare, my toolkit or my resilience for when it happens, when you are on that high, because many of us go on that high, right? But at some point you will crash and hit the wall, and don't wait until you hit the wall. Have the airbag popping up before.
Totally with you, and that's super. Let it open up before you. Stress evidently shows up in many people in a different way. People don't recognize it because it's so normal. That's why I talk about it and get into these details, because that could be that some people recognize in one of the other story, like, hey, I have the same. Could that thing then be related to stress? And am I under pressure?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So yeah, let the airbag open up before we hit the wall. That's a very nice one. Evelyn, thank you very much for your input today and this wonderful discussion.
Likewise, thank you so much for the invite. It was really very interesting and nice to talk to you as well.